Good morning. I hope that everybody had a great evening last night. We've really got a full day. I do have an announcement. It's not about your box lunches. Carol Cochran from Pittsburgh, I have your ACEs bag. Oh, I thought you, yes. Okay. So good morning and welcome to our first session of the National League for Nursing 2014 Education Summit. And the title of this session is You Can Create Disney Magic Too. Is that not a cool title? We warmly thank Galen College of Nursing for its generous sponsorship of this session. And today we'll focus on how all of us can create magic for our patients, our families, our friends, and for each other by understanding the power of personal leadership as we go about living our lives in our profession. So it really is indeed a pleasure for me to introduce Mr. Lee Cockerell. And I want to tell you a little bit about him. He is a speaker extraordinaire. He brings magic wherever he goes. Lee has had a very interesting and stellar career. He is now retired as the Executive Vice President for Operations for the Walt Disney World Resorts in Florida. This position he held for 10 years. His responsibilities encompassed a diverse mix of operations. Now, this is impressive, including 20 resort hotels with more than 24,000 guest rooms, 4 theme parks, 2 water parks, 5 golf courses, a shopping village and nighttime entertainment complex, a sports and recreation complex, and the ancillary operations support functions. The resort served millions of guests annually and employed 65,000 cast members. And I think a lot of us were there at one time or another, were we not? Prior to joining Disney in July 1990 as Director of Food and Beverage and Quality Assurance for the Disneyland Paris hotels, Lee spent 17 years in various positions with Marriott Corporation and 8 years with Hilton Hotels. He continues to be committed to sharing his time and his talents. In 2005, Florida Governor Jeb Bush appointed him to the Governor's Commission on Volunteerism and Community Service, where he served as the chairman of the board. In 2008, Governor Brad Henry of Oklahoma named Lee as a creative ambassador to assist the state in leadership and business development. Lee's publications have been widely disseminated both nationally and internationally. His book, Creating Magic, 10 Common Sense Leadership Strategies for a Life at Disney, is now available in 13 languages. His new book, The Customer Rules, the 39 Essential Rules for Delivering Sensational Service, was published in 2013. So I am very excited to bring to you Lee Cockerell, who is retired and inspired.
everybody. Thank you. Need you to call my wife. Tell her how great I am. That's it. I got a few things here. I asked my wife if she read my book. She said, no, I've heard all that stuff, so I don't know. Anyway, it's great to be here. I love nurses. I've spoken to over 12,000 nurses this year, and I never knew it was going to turn out this way. I started working with Galen College of Nursing. They called me one day because they read the book, and next thing I know, I'm in the nursing business. And two best groups I talk to are pastors and nurses because they're excited, and they know what their passion is, and they know what their purpose is, and they know what they're doing. I'm going to tell you the same thing Dr. Malone told you yesterday, just tell you a little bit differently. I loved her speech. She's a dynamic speaker, and she made the right points. And she was trying to remind all of us, don't get bored with the basics in life. The basics are what make life go around. You know that if you have children, you teach them the basics, life will work out well. Integrity, honesty, excellence, behaving themselves, and I want to give you that too. But didn't you love that introduction about me? I get that introduction all the time. Lee ran Disney World, and he was responsible for 50 million visitors a year, and now we have 72,000 cast members in Orlando, plus 20,000 contractors. It's 7,000 managers, this big, huge place, and I always get the great introduction that Lee ran that. And now that I've left Disney, I can tell the truth, and I'm not kidding you. I didn't even know what was going on half the time. Seriously, I mean, I was the boss. Now, they didn't know that. I didn't tell them back then. But the reason I say that is, those days are long gone anyway, and they never existed. I don't know if you remember the times when, or maybe you're still involved in those times where you work, where the boss thinks they know everything. They're out there. You might be one of those people, actually. And you give nobody any authority, But I learned one thing. I didn't need to know what was going on. I had to make sure I hired people around me who did know what was going on. And amen. I tell you, this is best advice I can give any organization is make sure you know where you should be spending your time, and then hire people to spend their time in places where you're not very good at that. And that's what I do best. I hire the right people. And that's why I survived 41 years in the world of Disney and Hilton and Marriott, three great companies. I'm a college dropout, and now I get to talk to doctorates and masters. I knew I'd get even one day. Last week I spoke to 200 principals and superintendents. This is good. So I'm not saying you shouldn't go to college. I made sure my son got his MBA, and we're making sure our grandkids, we spend all our money on them to make sure they go to the right schools. But yeah, so I had a great career, and it was terrific. And I said, I guess I would tell you the first advice I would give you, if I want to give you one lesson right off the bat, is think deeply, and maybe even the next few days. Go somewhere quietly and think about one thing, how you spend your time. Let me tell you what, most people don't sit and think quietly how they spend their time, where you spend it, where you're not spending it, where you should be spending it, and then trying to figure out why you're not spending it there. The amount of time people waste. In fact, I brought that up here, a new book I got come out in November. It's called Time Management Magic, How to Get More Done Every Day. And it's not by watching the Beverly Housewives or the playing Candy Crush. That's really going to help your career a lot. Huh? And we're going to talk about how do you spend your time where you make a difference. And I had to think about that. People ask me, what do you do? What do you do, Lee? And I said, I had to think about that. And I had to think about where I spend my time. And I didn't spend it in engineering where I had a great engineer. This guy ran all the capital projects for me, $750 million a year. A new roller coaster is $150 million. Here I got an engineer reporting to me, and I'm a college dropout. So I had to have a good one. And then I had to leave him alone, not aggravate him because he might quit. And then I'll really be in a mess. And 4,000 maintenance people he managed to keep that place safe and clean and looking great, like when you go down there and you see it that way. This guy did a great job. We worked together all those years. I let him do his job. I was there if he needed some support or he needed a little help with staffing or a budget issue, but not the engineering part. And he was great. I had the best retail person. We do $1.3 billion in retail sales in Orlando. Anybody bought anything from Disney? That's the magic. You give us your credit card. We take care of the rest. And you buy things that when you get home, you don't know why you bought them. Tangible memories. And then, anybody got little girls in your family? Any daughters out there? Oh, that's how you make money. Let me tell you what. Princesses. Princess business is a gold mine. We do $3 billion in princess business in the U.S. When we get that first dress on them, what do princesses need? Accessories. I have a wife that needs accessories. That's why I'm still working. Get that accessories. Tiaras, shoes, another dress next year, makeup, hair. Princess business. We love it. Because every mother and father can't say no to those sweet little things when they're 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years. Boys, that's a different story. Boys just want a plastic sword. You can't make any money. Seriously, I mean, I'm telling you, we still got the one 40 years ago we bought for our son, and they never break. So that's a bad business. But I let the lady run retail. I could go help her, right? I'm the boss. I can help you. You ever have a boss that helps you too much? You wish something had happened to him? Even on the way to work, and you'd participate in it if you could get away with it? Yeah. Sure, I let her run it. I go shopping and I'm the boss, but I'm not going to bother her. That's a complex business, retail. It's a very complex business. Most businesses are complex. I had the best food guy. I was in food for 25 years. I had a guy better than me. There's 250 places to eat at Walt Disney World. Why is that important? It's a low-margin business. Very tricky to make money. And food safety. We can't have anybody getting food poisoning at Disney. We can't have children getting sick. This is be on the New York Times front page. The chances you getting food poisoning at Disney is zero. We are so careful, I can't imagine. Now, what the prices might make you sick, but the food never will. Literally. You know, those magical burgers, yes. But that's safety. We're all over that. Two things we talk about every day before we open is safety and focus on the guest today. Safety and focus on the guest. That's the two things we do best. So all of a sudden, I got security, 1,200 security people at Disney World, safest zip code in America. Literally, 32830. FBI said, very little crime there. Great. 1,000 bus drivers. I don't know anything about buses. They reported to me. So one day I was telling people, one lady said, and she raised her hand and said, Lee, you got all these people doing everything. What do you do? Let me tell you what, folks. Make sure you can answer that question, because it's just a matter of time till your boss thinks about it. What do you do? What difference do you make around here? Why should we keep you? Why shouldn't I get somebody else? Why shouldn't I turn your responsibilities over to somebody else? Why shouldn't I outsource this to somebody else? Why shouldn't we use technology and online instead of you? Be able to answer the question, what do you do? Why should you be there? What value do you bring? Why you're so great? They would never even think about asking you that question. And I always knew the answer to that question. I said, I'm the chief environmentalist. My title was executive vice president, but I said, I'm the chief environmentalist. What does that mean? I had the senior job. I had the position. I had the authority. I could spend my time wherever I wanted to. And I decided to spend it in three areas my whole career. One, not in engineering, not in retail, not in food, not in transportation, not in security. First place I spent my time is making sure we were hiring the right people at Disney World. I'm so involved in those systems, procedures, profiling, how we interview, what questions we ask, how we screen people, making sure we bring the right people into the company. And let me tell you one thing, there's not one single thing in your life that's more important than bringing the right people into your organization. And the other side, getting rid of the ones that got an attitude. Yeah. We are so clear with people when we hire them about our expectations. Let me tell you what, hire the right people. Take more time. Take your time. Get the right people in your organization. And that's what I was really focused on. That was the first place, because it really makes a difference. Even today, if you want to work at Disney World, you have to go on the internet and answer 136 questions about yourself. We want to know who you are before we'll even agree to interview you. We want to know if you have a big personality. Can you take stress 8 hours a day when the guests are unhappy and it's raining and the ice cream's $5 and they're yelling at each other and the mother died? And I mean, can you create magic all day, every day? We want to know if you got that in you. Some people should never be in front of a guest. You ever know these people, you should keep them way in the back in the storeroom? They should not come into contact with any humans. We want to know where we put people. We want to know a lot about it. We want to know if you have any discipline in your bones. You're going to be able to work on time. We need you to be on time. We can't open this place with people coming in late and dragging in. We need to know a lot about every position. If you get through that, you get to go over to the casting center and fill out an application. Before you fill out the application, you get to watch a film about expectations to work at Disney. And it's a very clear film. It's not magical. It's like your mother used to speak to you when you were a teenager. Do you remember your mother when you came home late? Did she focus? Anybody have a mother that was kind of unreasonable when you were a teenager? Did she have clarity about what time you should be home and what was going to happen? Did your mother ever say, be home at 11 or else? Did you want to find out what or else meant? I had a mother. My brother and I were terrified of our mother. She was a terrorist before they identified them. Seriously, she was mean. She was tough. God bless her, because now we found out later that was the right thing, but we didn't like her from 13 to 18. We liked our grandmother because she lived next door. We'd go over there and get some satisfaction. But literally, hiring the right people. So you watch this film for 25 minutes, and it's very clear about being on time to work, professionalism, personal appearance, grooming standards, no visible tattoos, no visible piercings, no purple hair. Yeah. And probably offended half the people in the room just now, but that's... We're putting on a show. Cinderella cannot have a tattoo on her neck. Mickey cannot smoke while he's talking to your kids. Goofy cannot be serious. Seriously. We all got to roll in the show. We got to behave. The managers have to be on stage. We're all on stage. We know what we're supposed to do, and we hire those kind of people, and we put them in the right positions. I'm not saying you can't be weird. You just can't be weird while you're working. You can be weird in the morning. You can be weird when you get off. You can do anything you want. But we're putting a role in the show. And that film is totally clear. You know what happens at the end of that film? 25% of the people get up and walk out and decide not to fill out the application. This is what clarity does. Let me tell you what. You want to improve your life? Be more clear. Be more clear with the students. Be more clear with your boss. Be more clear with the people working for you. Clarity. Let me tell you, somebody asked me, give us one definition for communication. I'd say that is clarity. Did you hear any lack of clarity from Dr. Malone yesterday about her focus? What we need to be doing? We need to be doing better? Clarity. Because when you're clear with people, there's no misunderstandings. Then you don't have to have all these conversations about being to work on time. Let me tell you, when we finish with hiring the people and talking to them about what our expectations are, there's no lack of understanding. Disney World's the happiest place on earth. You know why? It's the happiest place on earth or else. I mean, it's like you don't have to be happy to work at Disney. You got to act happy for 8 hours. That's your problem. Happiness is a personal problem. I don't care, you know. Your mother, you were born, you got mistreated, and you want to blame your mother 50 years ago. They said the statute of limitations has passed on all the wrongs done to you. Get over it. Be happy. Get over it. That's why my wife hadn't left me yet. I got over it. You know that song? Anybody see the movie Frozen? Oh yeah. Remember that song in there? Let it go, let it go, let it go. I took my granddaughter, we went out to talk to the troops, Fort Irwin, about a month ago, out in the middle of Mojave Desert, near Death Valley. And she went with me, she's 16, and I take my grandkids on a business trip with me once a year so I can be alone with them to tell them about things they need to pay attention to. And we were out there and talking to the troops, and I'm up there, and I'm saying to the troops something about, let it go, let it go, let it go. Margot said afterwards, she said, Pappy, I thought you were going to sing the song. I said, what song? She said, in Frozen. I hadn't seen the movie. I didn't even know there was a song. She said, I was sitting there, he's going to do it, he's going to break out and sing the song. But I have improved my relationship with my wife by saying to myself, let it go, let it go, let it go. And I'm sure nurses have to do that, don't you? Get used to saying that. Just looking and letting go. So yeah, we have a happy place at Disney. And that's what we need, and that's what we want, and that's what we sell. And we're clear about that. That's why we are better at hiring people. We're better at getting better performance because we are clear about it and our expectations. We have high expectations. We clarify those expectations. You want to improve your business? Raise your expectations for yourself and for your students. Raise your expectations for performance. Raise your expectations. How many people in here have high expectations for your children? You know what that feels like, high expectations? How disappointed it is when they don't do it? How you act when they're not living up to those expectations, or saying something inappropriate, or misbehaving, or going out looking like something they shouldn't be? Clarity. And later on, they'll thank you for that. Will they like it? No. Will it be tough? Sure. Clarity of expectations. It's huge. And not enough people have the guts to do it. And it's a responsibility. It's not a job. It's your responsibility. If you don't want to be a leader, teachers are leaders. Nurses are leaders. If you don't want to do that, go do something else. But don't screw up other people's lives. You know, when your children do something wrong, what do? You deal with it, right? Because you love them so much you can't stand it. You got employees or students do something wrong, let it go. You talk about the power of leadership. Let me tell you what. 10 years from now, those people are going to be better or worse because of you. First, their parents have the first shot at them, and that's getting pretty screwed up. So you got the second chance to be a good role model. Let me tell you what, you can change people. You can change people. They're watching you every day. Let me tell you what, I tell everybody every day, you want the best leadership lesson you can ever have? Be careful what you say and do every day. Everyone is watching and judging you every second. The way you look, the way you present yourself, your enthusiasm, being available for them. Be careful what you say and do. You think the NFL's having a little problem with that right now? Think any of our politicians are having it when the microphone's on? You think a lot of people in the newspaper every single day are having a problem of being careful what you say and do, or on Facebook, or on cameras, or on recording devices? Be careful what you say and do. This is advice my grandson before he went to college. He's 17. He was going early. He's 19 now. I looked at his Facebook page and I coached him on clean this up before you start applying to colleges. He said, well, it's not. I said, clean it up. Because it just a little bit. And so you got to be careful what you say and do. Be aware of what's going on around you. People are watching you. You're in a very important, responsible position with impact. Don't ever underestimate the impact you have on other people. Never underestimate it. That's the biggest problem in this country right now. People underestimate. Parents underestimate the impact they have on their children, what they say in front of them, how spouses talk to each other in front of them. They're watching, and you've got to be careful of this. You can really change people's attitude by being careful what you say and do. It's a big deal. So, yeah, hire the right people. Second place I spent my time, training. That's where I spent my training. I taught a lot of the classes. I teach time management for 35 years. I've taught it to over 100,000 people. Every manager went through it. How to get more done every day. That's why I wrote that book. And you can make a note. It'll be out third week of November. Perfect Christmas present for all those disorganized people in your life, which could be you and your children and your husband. You get your husband that book, he'll get the garage cleaned out quicker. So that's what training. And I will not add to that. Training, then testing, and then enforcement of the training. Training, testing, and enforcement. Bill Marriott, I learned this early in my career with Marriott. I joined Marriott when they had 36 hotels. You know what he said to me one day? He said, Lee, the only way you get excellence in any organization is education and enforcement. Training and enforcement. If you're going to have a policy, train the people on it and then enforce it. And our managers at Disney are not bashful about stepping over and talking to somebody about the way they look, what they said. Next time you could do it, it's better. Enforcement. If you don't have enforcement, you're going to have inconsistency. It's not going to happen. You start with clarity, then you have the policies, procedures, training from the executives all the way down. And that's the second place I spent my time, because that's the name of the game. You hire great people and train them, it's amazing what happens. It's an amazing thing when people are competent, know what you want them to do. And the third place I spent my time, being a good role model. I'm aware of the impact I have on people. Now, have I always been? No. I was a good manager early on in my career, but not a great leader. I didn't understand that personal impact I was having on people. I abused my position sometimes. I intimidated people. I made them do it because I'm very organized. If I said 5 o'clock Friday, I was like a Doberman. I would bite you, and hard. And I got over that, and I changed over about 15, 20 years. Because why did I do that? I was very insecure, so I used my position to get things done, and intimidation, and force people, and scare people, and because of lack of security. And why do I have a lack of security? A lot of people have a lack of security. I talk to high school kids all the time, and man, they're about the most insecure people you ever want to talk to. I went to talk to a bunch of high school kids, and there they were, they hating being there. And one time I spoke to them, it didn't go well. All the boys wanted to know is how much you make and what kind of car you drive. I said, I make more than I ever thought I would, and I drive a van. They went, van? I said, yeah, I'd drive my grandkids to school. I needed 7 seats for the neighbors and them. And they done. So I thought, I got to get a better example this next time I talk to these kids. I got to get their attention, because I speak to high school kids everywhere I go, because they really need to hear the story. Because about half of them in the room, their parents have failed them. They don't believe in themselves, young girls, teenage girls, guys going down the wrong path, no good role models in their life. So now I get up there and I say, now I bet you wonder why this old man's here. What's he going to teach you young 16, 17, 18-year-olds? And they look at me. They don't want to be in the room. I said, let me tell you about my life. I grew up in a little farm. My Oklahoma people out here? Well, there they are. I knew you were here somewhere. Oklahoma. I heard of yesterday when you got introduced. I grew up in Oklahoma, Copan, Oklahoma, a little dairy farm. We didn't even have indoor plumbing. Let me tell you what. Now, my brother and I didn't know we were unhappy. My mother was unhappy. We didn't even know we were hot till we got air conditioning. We went to somebody's house. We went to a neighbor's, they had air conditioning. What's this? Then we were hot from then on. We weren't hot the day before. It's what you get used to. So, yeah, and we grew up on this farm, no indoor plumbing. My mother was married 5 times. She was pretty busy. She made 3 bad choices, and then she got better at the end. She married 2 doctors. But she was first 3. I referred to them as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's, 5 times. I've been adopted twice. I'm on my 3rd name. I got the name Cockerell when I was 16 by number 4. Number 4. He was a good man, though. Number 5 was a good man. Number 1, 2, and 3 were like useless. That's what I tell them. Be careful who you choose. But listen, I grew up in this farm, went through all that, went to college, only because number 4 had money. So I got to go to college, but I didn't know how to study, so I didn't do well. My mother said she wasn't paying anymore, so I went in the Army in 1964. I was in the Army. I was a cook in the Army. That was great. You know why I was successful? I was one of the few people who could read. I became a platoon sergeant because I could read. You talk about the level of education, how important it is. Got out of the Army and went to the Washington Hilton up there on Connecticut Avenue in D.C., got a job as a banquet waiter. I'd never even been in a hotel before. The lady gave me a job. I'd never even seen a linen napkin. We used paper napkins on holidays. Then they had 3 forks and 2 spoons. I'm going, what's all this? At my house, we just had the same fork. Lick it off, eat your apple pie. And there was like more than 1 glass. I mean, all these glasses. Man, it was an education for me. And I was a great waiter. Somebody took me by the hand and taught me the business. I was lucky. Mentor. Somebody took me and showed me the business. Next thing I knew, and I have a good attitude. That's why I got in a management training program. 2 reasons I got in. Not because I had a college degree, because I have a good attitude and I'm very organized. Got in a management training program. Next thing I know, I got into management. I had a good career with Hilton, then I went to Marriott. Nobody even asked about a degree anymore. They started looking at my resume. Then I did well there, became vice president of food and beverage. Then I got recruited by Disney. I mean, it just turned out good. But I'm pretty insecure from those early days, very insecure. So I misbehaved early on, because that's what insecure people do. I can guarantee you, anytime you run into a mean person, it's an insecurity problem. As the guy said, they don't like themselves, so they treat other people badly. And that's what you see with this NFL thing, and there's a million examples of it. So, yeah, I need to be a good role model. So I woke up every morning knowing at Disney that my job was really to be a good role model and to try to create a place and an environment and a culture where everyone wakes up in the morning and wants to come to work versus has to come. You know the difference in those 2 jobs? When you want to come because you're proud of what you do and you know you're making a difference and you have deep purpose, versus have to come just for the paycheck. That's what we're trying to create. I need 72,000 people waking up in the morning wanting to go in and take care of you. Not because they have to, because they want to take care of you. No manager has to be around. And the other thing I was trying to do was create a place where everyone matters and they know they matter. You think that's important to know you matter in life? Huh? Simple thing. Simple thing. Make a place where everybody matters and they know they matter. And you know the number one best way to make sure people know they matter? Tell them. Don't text them. Tell them, you matter. You're the kind of person we need around here. Thanks for staying last night. We really need people like you. You really made a difference with that patient, with that student. You matter. Let me tell you, it's the number one thing everybody in the world wants, and everybody's not getting it. And they're not getting it in the business location. That's why we've got wars around the country. People don't feel like they matter. They push back. It goes from violence to the shorter end of that is not caring, not doing a very good job, making sure you know you matter. And I know how important that is. I used to tell my wife I loved her annually. How do you think that was working out? And what happened? This is another lesson for you. Go back and think about what you used to do that you ought to be doing, that you're not doing anymore. First 5 years I was married, I said, Priscilla, I told her every day I loved her. Then after 5 years, I was about once a week. You ever get into one of these? You get too familiar? About 10 years, once a month. 20 years, quarterly. And then I'd put it in my day timer and check it off on our anniversary. It became a task. And I was in a speech one day, and I was telling a story about that, and a lady raised her hand and said, Mr. Carter, let me tell you something. I'm getting married on Sunday. My husband better tell me every day for our whole marriage that he loves me. Now, I'm a pretty smart guy, so I went home that night. I walked in, and there's Priscilla standing there in the kitchen. I said, Priscilla, I love you. She said, what's going on? And I'm not kidding. That was the same week Tiger Woods' wife hit him with a golf club over the head. He lived 2 miles up the street. We were all in trouble. I said, I did. And we talked about it for a few minutes. I said, I used to tell you that. I wonder, we get out of the right habits. We get into the wrong. Does anybody have trouble telling your children how much you love them? But do you have a little trouble telling your spouse sometimes? You think wives need to hear this? You think it's even matters, really? Well, we talked about that for a minute. I can tell you, I tell my wife every day I love her. Later on, you'll know even more why. You think that mattered in our relationship? It was unbelievable, that little teeny thing. Don't get bored with the basics. The little things like that. And men are not very good at it sometimes. You got to rethink it. You got to rethink it. Do the right things. If you love your wife, tell her. If you love your husband, tell him. If you appreciate somebody in the workplace, tell them. Appreciation, recognition, and encouragement is the fuel that drives human performance. It's more powerful than anything else. Appreciation, recognition, and encouragement drives human performance. It's more powerful than that fuel that used to set off the space shuttles. It's unbelievable. You start practicing it. Because I guarantee you, everybody in this room, every single day misses an opportunity to give appreciation, recognition, and encouragement to somebody who deserves it. Do you believe that? Yes. At home, at work, a stranger. Appreciation, recognition, encouragement. You got to go back and rethink that. You want to test it? I'll tell you how do you test it. If your parents are still living, you call them up when you get out of this seminar or this workshop, whatever we call this thing. And you call them up. Your mother will answer the phone because we don't answer the phone. And if your dad's still living, tell him to get on the other line and you say this. I was thinking about you today and I want to call and tell you how much I love you, appreciate you, and appreciate all the sacrifices you made for me when I was growing up. And your mother will start crying and your dad will say, what happened? Did you get fired today? Why are you calling here? You need money? You moving back home? Your husband leave you? Why do they react that way? Same way my wife did. She was, what's going on? Why'd you say that? Because when we're not doing it the right thing, people think we're doing something else. And I guarantee you, you will see that. I did one group, and they all went out to the phone at the break, called their wife, came back in. I said, what happened? My mother started crying. My dad was skeptical. Be careful. You got a huge opportunity. Don't underestimate the impact you have on people. And don't wait till it's too late. It could be any minute. So think about that. Hire the right people, train them, Create the right culture. You be the person who's making the culture better every day. Don't wait for somebody else. You know one thing I've learned now? When I enter a culture, whether it's going home at night or when I get home tomorrow at 5:22, when I get to the house and I go in, I have the opportunity to do what? Make it better or make it worse when I walk into that house. And I'm retired now, so I make it better. I can't go to work and get away anymore. And when I get to work every morning, I get out of my car and said, I'm going to go in and make the culture better today. I'm going to pay attention to people. I'm not going to be preoccupied. I'm going to be available for people when they need some help. They need me to spend them. I'm going to stay late and spend some time with them. I'm going to make the culture better because everyone in this room is an environmentalist just like I was, and you're either making the culture better or worse every day. And you got to start to think about your impact on the culture. Are you as good as you could be? Does anybody think do you think anybody in this room think you could be better? Huh? I don't care if you're great. Can you be better? It's never too late to get better. It's never too late to get healthier. It's never too late to fix a relationship. It's never too late. But you got to get up in the morning and know that you can do it. And that's the thing that too many people are not pushing hard enough. They're not making the impact they should be making. They're taking the easy way out. When you're not doing hard things, you're not doing the right things. Is it hard to have a conversation with somebody about their performance? Sure. Is it hard to exercise? Absolutely. Is it hard to eat too much? It's easy to eat too much. It's hard not to. It's easy to spend your money. It's hard to save it. Think about it. Are you doing enough hard things? Are you doing enough hard things? Those are the ones that pay off. They pay off big time. And are you making a difference in these students' lives? Having those tough conversations, being clear with them, sitting down with them, making sure they understand, giving them that inspiration to push forward, push through. So those 3 things. Then, I thought about competency at Disney, and I really focused with the managers. I wanted every manager and every employee at Disney to know if you want to have a successful career, you cannot just be a technically competent person. You can't just know what nursing's about. That's not enough. You've got to do more. Technical competence is first competence. Sure, you got to know what you're doing. You go and get a degree. You get a bachelor's degree. You get your master's. You get your doctorate. Whatever you get. You become an expert technically, great. Be the easiest thing you do in your career. Because probably you love what you're doing. So you're going to learn more. And you're going to get experience. And with experience, you get better. And get better and you get better technically. I'm much better every year than I was last year because I practice and doing it. And that's easy, the technical part. Hardly anybody gets fired for not knowing what they're doing, not knowing how to do it. They get fired for other reasons. Second is management competence, being a good manager. What is the title of what does management mean? If you look it up in the dictionary, manager is defined as the act of controlling. When you're a manager, you're supposed to be keeping whatever you're managing under control. You ever been in a restaurant that the manager was there, but the place was out of control? It was dirty, cigarettes in the driveway, bathrooms were dirty, you couldn't get your order, food was cold, couldn't get the check, the music wasn't turned on, the lights were at the wrong level. That's manager present, but room not being managed. Control. If you're a project manager, what's that mean? Project manager. Keep the project under control, on time, on budget, safety, whatever the parameters are, control. Most people are not good managers for one reason, they haven't had any training in it. What happens? Most people get into a management position because they got a good attitude. And we say, and they got a degree and a good attitude. Let's make them a manager. Now they got 10 people reporting to them. They don't know what they're doing because they've had no training. High schools don't teach management courses, and basically universities don't teach them. So all of a sudden we end up in these jobs and we don't know why we can't keep things under control. That's why I wrote this book, Time Management Magic. Get a system in place to organize yourself so nothing falls through the cracks. And every one of your hospitals or universities are running on systems. When you have good systems, things come out well. When you have bad systems, things don't go well. You don't get consistency. We run Disney with systems. In that book, Creating Magic, the first sentence says, it's not magic that makes Disney World work, it's the way we work that makes it magical. We hire the right people, we do the training, we have policies, we have testing, we have enforcement of the training. It's how you work. It's how you work. And that's why anybody in here can do that same thing if you want to go back and make it happen in your business. Management. Get organized. I'm not going to give you a time management class today because we don't have time. Mark will cough up a little more money, I might stay another half hour. He's been good to me, Galen College of Nursing. I love that place. Those nurses love me too. So that's, so no time management class, but I'll tell you, want a quick lesson? Get yourself, how many people got a smartphone? Anybody not have one of these bubbies? My Galaxy S5. I love it. It's my best friend. We go everywhere together. I hold hands with it more than I do my wife. I take it everywhere. Sure. Do we need them? Absolutely. Great tool. But remember, it's a tool. You can either waste time with it all day long, checking your Facebook and whatever else you're doing, or you can use it as a tool. The reason I love it, I've got 3,000 contacts, email, contacts, phone calls. I can look up things on the web. Even before I go into a restaurant, I look up to see what the calories are in a meal. Numbers matter, by the way. It's a great tool, but it's not. The one thing that doesn't work very well is the task list, how to get things done. And I always ask, is anybody in here old enough to remember paper? This is called a planner. You know why it's called a planner? Because you're supposed to plan something in your life if you want it to come out right. Does anybody in here not know how to plan your vacation? You do a good job with that, right? So you got the talent. But your life, you wake up in the morning, you hope it works out. You pray it works out. You wish it works out. And you can't even use wishing because Disney owns wishing and you can't use it. If you wish, you have to pay us a fee. We have royalties and we have ways of finding out if you're using that technique. Best thing is get yourself a planner. And in there it says to do today. And in there is for you to sit and think about what you ought to put in there. What should you put in there today? And here's how you think about it. First, every single day, think about yesterday, what you didn't do as well as you should have. That person you need to go back and talk to, a client you need to call back, a student you need to sit down with that you didn't. Think about yesterday, everything that happened yesterday. You'll think of 2 or 3 things. Does anybody ever think of something on the way home? Huh? You ever think of something that you didn't do so well? You ever wake up 3 in the morning, think of something? Oh, yeah. We all do. One night I woke up, I was at Disney, I woke up, and my wife Priscilla turned over to me and said, Lee, what are you thinking about? I said, you, darling. Some lies are okay. She knew what I was thinking about. I had Disney problems. Disney. What time do professionals quit thinking about their work? It's a curse. On the way home, on the way to work, when you're sitting there supposed to be listening to your wife, right? You're thinking about your problems. Get a planner. Think about yesterday. Fix yesterday before you start today. And every day you got opportunity to go back and do something better. Finish a conversation, be more clear, whatever it is. Think about your own, how you could have done it better yesterday when you taught that class. You'll do it better the next time if you'll take the time to reflect. Reflection's a very powerful thing. Reflection. Most people don't reflect. They just keep going. And when you don't reflect, you don't get better. The second thing you think about are the responsibilities you've signed up for in your life. And you ought to make a list of them. Anybody in here married? You ought to think about them. Is there anything you need to do for them today? Might just be a little note, text. Stick something on their mirror, I love you. Maybe they won't leave. Whatever it is. Make a reservation for dinner Friday night and surprise them. Anybody have children? Yeah. Anything you need to do for your kids this week, this month, this year? Sign them up, college program, get an investment account open for college. Take them for their annual physical, get their inoculations, go up and see their teachers and see how they're doing so the teachers know you're interested. Your kid will get more attention by you having more attention to this. These are things that pay off. You get a payback for this time you spend. Talk to your kids about the birds and the bees. Is that important? You want your life messed up? Miss that one. When they're 8 or 9, you better be having those conversations. 8 or 9. As I told my granddaughter, Margot, she's 16 now, but I started early. Trust no man. Until your father and I give you the go-ahead. And that'll be when you're 25, 26, 27. Because every little boy lies, Margot. They say, I want to hold your hand. They're lying. And the first one's not the one. Be careful. She's always embarrassed. But I put them in the car, strap them in the seatbelt. I get it 55 miles an hour, and they got to listen to me. They can't get out. They can't get out of the car. That's why you talk to them. I take them one at a time, over and over and over again. You got to whatever you believe in, you got to talk about over and over and over again. I'm sure Dr. Malone don't you just get tired of hearing the same thing? Oh, my God, this lady just talks about the same thing all the time. That's how you get success. Any of you have kids where they were little, you're trying to get them to say, thank you, please, excuse me, I'm sorry, don't hold my leg when somebody comes in the house, shake their hand, look them in the eye? Anybody have that? And it wasn't going so well, and then one day, somebody says, you have the nicest children, and you go, you don't know what I went through. Did it take some time? And did you repeat the same things over and over? That's what you got to do at work and at home. You don't get tired of hearing the basics. Half the people don't hear you half the time. They weren't there. You got to say, every day we talk about customer service today and safety. Every single day. And we pound it in there to where it becomes natural. Make sure you don't get bored with the basics. Clarity with your kids. Clarity. So that's the second thing. What other responsibilities do you have in your life? Anybody got aging parents you're going to have to take care of? Do you really understand? This group ought to understand Medicaid, Medicare, having your trust set up properly, having the finances for your relatives in the right place so you can get government assistance, and it's very expensive. It's outrageous. My mother-in-law died about 2 months ago. She was 95. Started out slow. Assisted living, $60,000 a year. She had an income. It's okay. Oh, now we have to have a visiting angel care, 7 at night to 7 in the morning as she got older. Another $60,000. $13 an hour, 12 hours a day, 365 days a year. Then in the end, the last 6 months, we needed a 24/7 angel. $180,000 a year to take care of her. Let me tell you, figure this out, start thinking about it. What are you going to do? Get your trust set up, get your will set up, get it all done. Do that now. Don't wait till they get dementia and they can't sign the paperwork. Don't wait. Responsibility. What other responsibility? Your retirement. Do you have that nailed down? Do you really understand the numbers? If you had an expert look at it, don't run the numbers yourself on one of those websites. Go get an expert to help you. You're going to have Merrill Lynch talk to you, right? They're great. I have 2 Merrill Lynch guys. Keep an eye on each other. I have one in Oklahoma City, and I have one in Orlando. Yeah, Merrill Lynch is great. They've done a great job for me. I'm not good in that area, and they've produced. Because one of the things I've learned in life, you don't have to do anything, but you got to get it done. If you can't do something, get an expert. If you're not good with a computer, I'm not that great with all that stuff, but I got a guy I pay. He's available for me 24/7. When he charges me, I give him more money because I have a nervous breakdown when my computer's not working. Expert. I have a financial expert. I have a person I train with twice a week, strength training. Why? Why do I do strength training twice a week? Because what happens to guys my age when you fall down? What happens? Break a hip. 50% of those people die of pneumonia. That's a time management problem. Seriously, my wife and I do it, and let me tell you what, we're going to fall down, but we're going to get up. I think Miss Malone said that yesterday. Dr. Malone said, you got to get up. We're going to get up. My wife and I named it prehab, so we don't have to go to rehab. Let me tell you what, you can prehab every part of your life if you do the right things up front. Right? Prehab your kids by spending time with them, telling them the right things, disciplining them, having those hard conversations. My mother was so tough, my brother misbehaved so bad she couldn't send him to military school. That straightened him right out. They don't care if you're happy or not. He became an orthopedic surgeon. He had 2 routes, orthopedic surgeon or prison. My mother had to do the hard thing, send him to military school, and number 4 could pay for it, so that was pretty good. Saved his life. Saved his life. Did some hard things. Focus on what is important in your life. Make sure you're doing it. I got my Fitbit on here. I walk 65 miles a week. I walk in the grocery store. I walk in the house. It drives my wife crazy. She said, I was speaking to you and you're gone. And I've worked out a new system. If you want to work out, you can exercise and watch TV. It's a new system I came up with. I have 3 rooms I have TVs in. I turn them all on the same channel, and I just walk through and watch it all. Just watch it all. Seriously, just watch, put it on CNN and just go room to room. The only time you should sit down is when you have to. I go to the airport, I walk. You're going to get to sit down when the plane takes off. They won't let you walk too much in the aisles. Don't be sitting down. Get up and start moving around. Sit down when you have to, not when you want to. Next thing you know, you're going to get in shape. You're going to be fit. Get your health. Plan it. Schedule it. Get it done. Quit putting it off. Quit thinking it's too late. What other things you have in your life? Is your health one of your responsibilities, by the way? Is it really? Yes. I mean, you're committed to it, right? Yes. Commitment's an interesting word. What does commitment really mean? Commitment means you'll go all the way. Will you? Are you committed to your children? How many people are committed to their kids? You go all the way. You'd step in front of the car and take it. Committed. How many step in front for their wife? Well, I don't know. Commitment is a big word. When you're committed, you'll do a lot of things differently than when you're just interested in exercise. Figure out how you're going to start doing the things that are going to matter. Because the way you think about time management, you think about what should I be doing right now that won't pay off for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. If you save your money now, it pays off later. You invest it properly, it pays off later. Is this working? Am I up, gone, back? No? Somebody? That's why I don't use PowerPoint. Am I back on? I don't use PowerPoint because sometimes it goes off. And my mother didn't use it. She said, look at me when I talk to you. So you can think about that, yeah? So seriously, what other responsibilities you have in your life? You got to figure it out. And you better be giving it balanced time to it every day and putting it in here and getting it done because life's rough. Everybody thinks they have a lot of time, right? How many people think you got plenty of time to get your retirement? You got plenty of time to get that? Oh, time, I got a lot of the young people in here. I have time. You know what time looks like? I married a 22-year-old. She's on Medicare now. Yeah. I have a 45-year-old son. Where'd he come from? I have grandkids in college and granddaughters driving cars. Where'd they come from? It went by in a flash. And it'll go by in a flash, and it'll be one of the biggest regrets you have in your life when you lose your health. And sometimes when the doctor says, can't do anything for you, you should have started 20 years ago. You better get up and start walking. You better start moving. You better watch what you put in your mouth. Time has a way of coming up behind you. Think about it. And if you can't do it, get an expert. Get somebody to help you. Go hire somebody. Do it with somebody. Sure, is it fun? No, it's hard. It's hard to save your money. It's hard to work out. It's hard to eat right. It's hard to have those conversations. It's hard to let it go. Yeah, so think about those. Third one, technological competence. You got technical, knowing what you're doing. Management, getting organized so you can get it done, be reliable and keep your promises and do what you say you're going to do. And then technology, using technology to be better, quicker, faster. In your business, nursing technology's making huge advances, making a huge difference. Everything's, in the next few years, it's going to be incredible what we're going to see, how it's going to improve health, keeping up with technology. And last is leadership competency. How are you going to be that kind of leader, teacher, instructor, manager, parent, where people wake up in the morning and they're glad you're in charge. They're glad you're standing up there. They're glad you're making a difference. They look forward to your class or the relationship or meeting you or seeing you. How are you going to be that leader? And let me tell you what, I learned a good lesson on this. I do a lot of work for the military. I started working with them 13 years ago. I met General Lloyd Austin. If you've been watching TV this week, he was sitting with the president at Central Command. He's in charge of the war over in Afghanistan and the Middle East. He was a one-star general when I met him. And he liked me. And he invited me to all the bases, Fort Bragg, Fort Benning, Fort Drum. I've been all over. In 2008, he asked me to come down and and actually he brought me to Iraq in 2011, which was cool. I flew into Baghdad. They picked me up in his plane, which is very safe. and signed me a helicopter for a week. I went all over Iraq with 2 gunners with big machine guns, a security officer, and the most important person in that helicopter, a medic. He said, "Lee, don't worry, I have 2 tourniquets." And all I needed all week, I was a good patient, chapstick. It's really dry over there. But I went there, but in 2008, he asked me to come down to a leadership seminar before he was going to become the deputy commander for Iraq, U.S. forces in Iraq. And I went down, and I went, and Frances Hesselbein, who wrote the foreword for my book, Creating Magic. Frances is an incredible woman. She took over the Girl Scouts when they were about to fail back in the late 70s. They were going under. 1 million Girl Scouts left. That was it. It was about out of business financially. She took it over with one vision. Every little girl in America should see herself in a Girl Scout uniform. Why had the Girl Scouts failed? Because they had become an organization for middle-class white girls. No diversity, no inclusiveness, people from poor neighborhoods, minority groups weren't in. She changed that. When she left, it was 3 million Girl Scouts and 1 million volunteers. One woman made that change by including everybody. Dr. Malone talked about diversity yesterday, and it's not about diversity, it's about inclusiveness. People wanting to feel like they belong and they're there and they're important. And I tell you what, after we finished the 2-day seminar, she and I did it together, and a reporter came from the Fayetteville, North Carolina newspaper, and he's talking to Mrs. Hesselbein. I'm standing right next to her, and he says, "Mrs. Hesselbein, could I ask you a question? Why do you do this training for the military?" Now, this is a woman you don't want to mess with. She turned around that young guy and she said, "Young man, if it was not for our military, this would not be a free country. Do you understand?" This kid about fainted. I've never heard a more powerful comment. If it was not for our military, this would not be a free country. There's nothing else, by the way, guys. If you think there's some other reason this country's free, that's one reason, the only reason. Right, the only reason. You talk about attitude. I was in Iraq, Texas National Guard was there, the Idaho National Guard, called up to duty for a year, taken out of their jobs. I didn't run into one negative person, not one. It's unbelievable. So when the reporter left, I said, "Frances, I love that comment. Do you mind if I ask you a question?" She said, "What is it, Mr. Cockerell?" And I've known her for a long time. And I said, "Could you explain to me how do you explain the difference between management and leadership?" She said, "Mr. Cockerell, management is doing. You have a planner. Hopefully you're smart enough to put the big things in there, the biggest personal problem you got in your life, and fix it. You got the biggest business problem, you can put it in there and fix it. And you put everything else you want to get done in your life in there and you fix it. That's management, doing. Leadership's about being there for your people, being a person who can make hard decisions, being a person who can have tough discussions, being a person who has high integrity, being a person who's always honest, being a person who tells the truth. Being. The difference between doing and being is pretty wide. And I will tell you, most people in this country and a lot of places are doing a lot, they're not being a lot. And that's what we got to think about. And I think about that every day today. Am I being enough for my family? Am I being enough for my wife? Am I being enough for my grandkids? Am I being enough for my clients? Am I being enough for people who call me and say, "I'd like to meet with you"? I meet with everybody. I go to Starbucks 6:30 or 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock every morning. People call say, "Can I meet with you?" I said, "I will be at Starbucks 7 to 8. If you come, you meet with me. If you don't come, no big deal to me." Then I find out. If they want to meet, they show up. I find a way to meet with everybody because almost everybody I meet with comes back to pay me back one day. I meet with some kid, and next thing I know, 2 years later, his dad's promoting my book to 19,000 dentists. Some snot-nosed kid. Little did I know. Meet with everybody. So think about that. Think about that. Leadership. I know you're doing a lot. Are you being a lot? Will you stay late with a student? Will you be there for them? Will you take a call from a student having a daycare problem, a financial problem, a marriage problem, all the problems a lot of these nursing students are going through, to just get through and scrape through and get through this thing and just barely make it? A little inspiration will get them through. A little help. Just that little help at the right time. It will. It'll get it done. And you got to be those people. You got to be those people. Let me tell you, when I'm in the hospital, I want to look up and see a nurse that's happy. I don't want an aggravated nurse in the room there. I told Jen Brewington, I'm calling you when I'm in the hospital. You send me a good one up there. Because it makes a difference. So think about those 4 things. Why are those 4 things important? Why are they important? Why is it good to be technical and be a good manager and focus on technology and be a good leader? And you go, gosh, this guy, I wish I hadn't come here. Because they're all connected. If you don't do them all, you're not as good as you could be. And you're not going to make the change you could. You're not going to impact people the way you could. And you're going to be more successful when you do it the right way and when you have balanced competency. So you've got to think about the 4. You've got to spend some time on those 4. And don't just stay focused on one thing. Make a difference. So those are just some to think about. And I've added recently, probably the other one competency you got to have in your life is relationship competency. Getting along with people, engaging people, being available for people, being trusted. People come to you for advice. And to be trusted, you've got to be trustworthy. You've got to watch how you handle things, what you say, confidence, relationship competency. It's a big deal. Do you have that ability to do that? It'll get you a long way. Relationships are important. When my grandson went to college, he went to Boston University, and not my grandson, my son. I said, Daniel, I'm going to give you some advice. I'm paying only for 4 years. You understand? Go to class, sit on the front row, tell the professor he's doing a great job and he'll raise your grade. That's how real life works. You sit in the back, you're not going to get any credit. Get up front and meet people. I got fans right here. Hey, go. You can do the wave now, ladies. I was waiting. Yeah. I always establish good people in the front row because if they're too close, they can throw things at you and hit you, like that shoe that got thrown at the bush. You don't want that. So think about those. Go out and do them better. Get yourself organized so you are paying attention to all of them. You're going, oh, you don't understand, I'm tired. Yeah, well, we're all tired. So go exercise so you won't be tired. Do something. But you got to do them, or you'll pay. You'll pay. It's up to you. Consequences for everything. My grandson worked at Disney pulling weeds for a summer. He's in horticulture. They let you work there when you're 16, 17 if your parents work at Disney. It's called the Stay in School program. You pull weeds for 6 a.m. to 2 every day. You definitely go to college after that. Because you work with people who've been pulling weeds for 40 years. And they look like they're 400 years old. I said, Julian, what'd you learn at Disney the first day? He said, well, they said if you're 1 minute late, go home. Is that clear enough? If you don't have your name tag on, go home. If you don't have your safety vest and safety shoes on, go home. 15 kids got fired the first week out of 50. I found his name tag at my house because he used to sleep there to be closer to work so he could sleep extra 10 minutes. He slept in our guest room the whole summer. I found one of his name tags. I said, don't you need this? He said, no, Pappy, I bought 6 extra ones. That's what clarity does. That's what clarity does. Be clear. You get better results. And those people will be better. And he learned a good lesson. This summer he worked as a waiter at the French Pavilion. He speaks fluent French because his mother's French. So he's working at the French Pavilion. That's why he got the job, education. One night the manager said, go out and be with the customers. It's July the 4th. Don't be back here sitting in the kitchen. Go out there. We're going to be slow today. Said a man came in with his son. 2 people sat down at his table. The man started talking about Declaration of Independence, July the 4th, battle, this battle, that battle. Well, Julian took AP history. So he was right in there with the guest. And the guest said, do you get to keep your tips, Mr. Cockerell? He said, yes, sir. He left him a $100 tip for a party of 2. I said, Julian, you see the lesson? You speak a foreign language. You got the job. You have an education. You got the $100. Education pays in many ways. Don't ever forget it. Education pays. Did he like taking AP? Oh, no. It was like beating him every day to get him to take those AP courses. Right? Well, you got to do it. So you think about those things. Get this thing together. Make sure you're focusing on all of them. Now, at Disney in 1995, we went out to Gallup organization. We said, we want you to talk to 6,000 guests. We have one question only. We want you to ask 6,000 guests that have been to Disney, what are your expectations when you come to Disney World? What are your expectations? It came down to 4 things. It's the same 4 for your students. It's the same 4 for people laying in a hospital bed. It's the same 4 of an airline passenger. Number 1, they said, it wasn't about the rides, shows, theming. What was the number 1 thing they told us they expect? They said, when we come to Disney World, make us feel special. You think that's important in the hospital? Or in a student, to make them feel special, get to know them on a personal level? We can teach people how to do that. A lot of people don't know how to do that. Number 2, they said, treat us as individuals. When we got a problem, we need a special menu, special transportation, we're in a wheelchair, we need... Take care of us on an individual basis. And give the authority to every one of your cast members to take care of whatever we need. You think that's important? Individual needs in a hospital? Isn't every room a little different? Emotional issues in the room, how the person's feeling. 3rd, they said, show respect to me and my family, no matter where we're from, what background, what culture, what color, what disability, what sexual orientation, what level of education, show respect to us. How important is that? It's everything. I travel around the world. I never ran into one person who doesn't want to be respected. And when you don't, what do you have? We get wars everywhere, fighting, lack of respect for their religion, lack of respect for their color, for their education, for their beliefs, for their sexual orientation. And last, they said, what's your last expectation? Have knowledgeable people working for you. Train your people. Is that important in a hospital? How important is knowledge? It's the difference between an infection, death, wrong instrument, wrong pills, it's everything. So that was easy. And then after that, I said, I wonder what the expectations of employees when they come in the morning to work or into the classroom. I just made it up. I didn't pay Gallup for this. Here's what every employee wants, every student. When I come in, make me feel special. Huh? Pay attention to me. Know my name. Know my last name. Know what I'm trying to achieve, my aspirations. Help me. Number 2, treat me as an individual when I got a daycare problem. My mother fell and broke her hip. My husband's got cancer. We're having financial problems. Treat me as an individual. I need to be off Wednesday at 2 o'clock early to go up and see this teacher because my son's having a problem in school and I need to go up there. Help him get off. They'll come back more loyal and committed than you'll ever imagine. You'll get that money back 1,000 times. Commitment by you treating people as individuals. And by the way, if you haven't had a tragedy in your family yet, don't worry. We're all going to get equal treatment. It's coming. And you're going to want to be treated as an individual in your organization. People have problems. Everybody's got a problem you don't know about, and they got one on the way. Last, what do they want? 3rd, they want to be treated respectfully. No matter what country they come from, what color they are, what language they speak, whether they speak English or not, their disability, their sexual orientation, what church they go to, all levels. People want to be respected. There's where you can just let it go. Get over the bigotry you got in your bones. Forget about half of what your parents taught you. Half of what your parents taught you is wrong. And then the other half comes from the internet. And you believe it. Listen, I grew up in Oklahoma in the 40s and 50s. You think I ever heard anything inappropriate about anybody in this room? Huh? You ever think I heard anything from my uncles about how they talked about other people of color, sexual orientation, American Indians, Mexicans? Think I ever heard that? Yeah, I did. But you know what you can do? We changed it in our family. Somebody's got to make the change. We made sure, my wife and I talked to her, we made certain our son never heard one of those comments in our house. Never. And guess what I got? I got a kid that doesn't have a discriminatory bone in his body. Then he married a French girl and I had to quit telling French jokes. She didn't think my jokes were funny. Somebody told me, jokes are not funny unless everybody's laughing. So if you know a good joke and you think it's really funny, go in your closet and tell it to yourself and then laugh and come out, but don't do it in front of anybody. I know a lot of good jokes. I don't tell them anymore because you will hurt people. Yeah. And guess what? I've got 3 grandkids that don't have a discriminatory bone in their body either, because what you teach your children, they teach their children. What you teach those students, they'll teach the next group. Don't ever underestimate the impact you're having on people. Never underestimate it. It's huge. And by the way, this goes on. You let it happen. You have inappropriateness, people mistreating people in the classroom, not paying attention to the right people or how they dress or what religion they practice. Don't let it happen. Tell them right up front. If that happens, you won't be here. Don't let it happen. We had the problem after 9/11 at the Moroccan Pavilion. Everybody's Muslim. We had guests harassing the employees there. They had nothing to do with 9/11. We had fellow employees harassing these Muslim cast members. And we put a stop to it and immediately asked the guests to leave, and we told the cast members, if you continue this once, you're going to be terminated. You've got to put a stop. You've got to know what you stand for and what you won't stand for. And you've got to know when to act. You've got to know when to act. And is it hard? Oh yeah, it's hard to step up there. It's hard. It's hard. Because peer pressure, and I don't want people, don't worry. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. So last, they said people come to work, they want 2 things. They want training and they want development. Training is one thing. You learn how to do something. It's not the same as development. Training, we go in a room, 50, 100, 200 people, we learn how to do something. You're training people every day. Technical stuff. Development's when I have to have that one-on-one conversation with you about your attitude, coming to work late, how you speak to people, how you dress, inappropriateness. That's the development. Most people are doing a lot of training and very little development. When you do the development, you make the whole person. And you know how to do it with your kids. You don't have any problem developing your kids, right? You want them because you love them. You want them to be successful, so you sit down and have the hard conversations with them. Then you go to work and people do it and you let it go. Don't let it go. People say, by the way, you don't have any friends anyway, so don't worry about them. You all think you have friends, right? You don't have any friends. Friends are people who let you move in with them for a couple years. Friends are people who just write you a check with no questions asked. You don't have as many as you think you do. Think about those expectations of people, the real expectations, and are you doing a good job with them? So I'm going to talk for 10 more minutes, then I'm going to stop and I'm going to take questions because I was told to. So if you don't ask a question, I will start talking again. You'll be sorry. So make sure you think of a good, hard question. The hardest question you can think about. Don't ask an easy one, like, can you meet me? Can I meet Cinderella? No, ask me some hard questions that apply to your business and how to do it better. So I'm going to tell you this last story. Okay, here's the point. Leadership shows up when you least expect it in life, doesn't it? Somebody steps up that you go, wow. You're on the way home and your car breaks down, or you have a flat or an accident. How many cars drive by before somebody stops to help you? How many? It's unbelievable. The leader always stops. Even though they got to be home, they stop, they stay with you, they get somebody there, they take care of it, they don't leave you alone. Leadership, that's it. The kid in the neighborhood who has the courage to handle the peer pressure and stop other kids from bullying a new kid. That's the leader. He could be 8 years old. He could be 12. Leader comes in all ages, sizes, shapes, gender. You never know who it's going to be. Everyone in this room, I'm sure you stepped up at one time or another in your own personal lives, but doing the right thing. Mothers are great at it. Mothers don't. I love mothers. I'm going to write a book. It's going to be called Manage Like a Mother. Mothers don't care if you're happy. They care if you're successful. So they don't mind disciplining you and before you go to sleep saying, I love you. But don't let it happen again. Right. The hard things. Leadership shows up when you least expect it. So my wife got very sick back in 2008. She has diverticulitis. You all know what that is. She said, we've been in every emergency room in the nation over the years. Takes antibiotics, usually is fine, life's good. This time she wasn't feeling too good, taking antibiotics. Came to me on a Sunday afternoon, said, Lee, take me to the hospital. Her stomach was hurting so bad. Time we got there, 10 minutes, we were in the emergency room. She couldn't sit up in a chair anymore. She was laying flat on the floor in the emergency room. They took her in, did a CAT scan, found 2 abscesses on her colon, 2 infections, put her in the hospital for 14 days and pumped her full of antibiotics that were nauseating, and they were tough. Finally got out, went home, more antibiotics for 30 days at home with nurses coming. Finally, she's okay. Life's good again. Whew. Got through that one. She's happy, everything's fine. We go back to the doctor. He says, Priscilla, you need to have a piece of your sigmoid colon resectioned. We scheduled that for August 6th. Anybody have a date in here? It's only your date in your life? August 6th. I'll never forget this day for the rest of my life. I finished recording my book, Creating Magic, at noon. Got there, seen my wife. She went into surgery, 3.5 hours. Laparoscopic surgery, resection. Kept her in the hospital 5 days. By the way, the only other date I remember with emotion is November 16th, 1957. Anybody know what happened that day? Huh? People from Oklahoma ought to know. Notre Dame beat Oklahoma that afternoon. He's probably not recovered yet. Oklahoma had a 47-game winning streak. Hadn't lost for 4.5 years. I was 13. Kid came running down. Oklahoma got beat today. I was 9 the last time they lost. I was shocked. Sports Illustrated had already printed the edition that came out Monday. You know what the cover said? Oklahoma cannot be beat. So you never know what's around the corner. But forget that. August 6th, we're back there, getting the surgery, go home, take her home, she's fine, all that's good. By the 11th, she goes home, 6 in, 11th out. Morning of the 13th, she's in so much pain she can't stand it. Called the doctor, he says, take her to the hospital. Got to the hospital, registered, no rooms available. Big mistake, I should have gone through the emergency room. Shouldn't have gone and registered that way. We get put in a gurney in the hallway outside the emergency room. Nobody's taking care of her. No IV in her, no pain, nothing. She's we're in no man's land. First leader shows up. A doctor's going on break out of the emergency room, and I stopped him and I said, listen, here's what's happening. Nobody's taking care of her. She needs a painkiller. She needs an IV in her. She needs to be hydrated. He said, I'm not supposed to. You know that. Legal issues. I said, I know you're not supposed to. And we talked about it for a minute. You know what he said? He said, all right, I'm going to do it. That's the leader. I'm against the policy, but I'm going to do the right thing. I think he might have been responsible for getting through that day. 3 more hours before we got a room. 7 o'clock at night. Now, doctor comes in and says, well, Lee, she's sleeping now. All her vital signs are perfect. Why don't you go on home? Can't be that serious. We'll do a CAT scan. I went home. He went home. He kept working. Leadership. He turned on his computer before he went to sleep, looked at her CAT scan on his home computer, saw her bowel was leaking from that first surgery failing. 1 hour she came to be dying that night. He got her in the emergency room at 11 o'clock. She woke up 7 days later on a ventilator in the ICU. Weak. Stayed in the hospital 21 days, 2 blood transfusions, gained 40 pounds of edema from not eating enough protein because she couldn't eat. She was nauseated. It was one high blood pressure floor we were sent to. It was one nightmare after another. 21 days goes by. She says, Lee, take me home. They're going to kill me in here. I took her home. We had nurses coming every 8 hours, every 12 hours, whatever it was, IV. She woke up actually after that surgery with a colostomy, a wound vac. She wore for 5 months because of the infection. Went home. Now they're teaching me how to take care of the wound vac. And I told Priscilla, let me tell you, darling, that colostomy proves I love you. I didn't even know what a colostomy, I never heard of such a thing. That's quite an invention. I found about parts about women I didn't even know they had. That was unbelievable. I'd change that, she couldn't. Oh man, it was a bad job. So we stayed there, and 10 days later, we're back in the hospital. Now she's got fluid around her lungs. Now we got 2 drains, 1 on each side, colostomy bag, wound vac. We're in the hospital for 12 more days. Finally went home, nursed her back to health over 15 months, had a hospital room set up in our house, nurses coming. I'm taking care of this wound vac thing. The alarm goes off on it. I have to reseal it in the middle of the night. It was like the most stressful thing I've ever done. They're teaching me how to change the IV and how to, unbelievable. And so finally she's okay. She had spent 64 days in the hospital. The bill was $700,000. Our life had been perfect 40 years. That Sunday it went off the cliff. It was the worst 15 months of my life. I took care of her, everything. I was taking care of. We had a person coming in at night so I could get some sleep. It was one nightmare after another, but finally she got okay. She was okay. Except, we got a colostomy still hanging here. Feels fine. Now what do we do? I mean, I'm telling you, we're terrified to go back to surgery. We met the next leader, Paul Williamson, colon rectal surgeon. He came in. Her file was this thick. You talk about the confidence of what you teach your nurses, confidence of knowing what you're doing when you walk in that room, especially in something the patient doesn't know anything about. He walked in, he said, Priscilla, you're the kind of patient I love to fix. You're going to be fine. How do you think she felt at that moment? I'm not only mentally, physically, she felt better. Got off of antidepressants within a couple of days. 3 months later, he scheduled the surgery. He said, Lee, it'll be 4.5 hours. He came out after 9.5. 9.5 hours in surgeries, which I'm by then having a nervous breakdown. I said, Paul, what took you so long? He said, what took me so long? I did what I said I was going to do. I fixed her. And I gave her a free tummy tuck. I hope she enjoys it. He said, you get nothing free at Disney. And you know what he said before he took her in? He said, Priscilla, I'm going to tell you something. Every one of my patients is a gift from God. He didn't have to say that. Nobody's going to touch you in there but me. I'm going to open you. I'm going to do the surgery. And I'm going to close you. Nobody else is going to touch you. And I go to the chapel before I operate on you and get some extra help. How do you think we felt about this guy? You talk about the little add-ons he put on there? God bless this guy. He's our best friend today. I mean, talk about, he changed our life. And I think about that a lot. My wife stayed in the hospital 10 days, took her home. She's fine today. Everything's cool. And I just wonder, the nurses, let me tell you, the nurses we ran into, there's good nurses and there's great nurses. There's a big difference. The wound nurse who gave me her cell phone number so I could call her any time, even though she wasn't on duty. She was an incredible lady. Holidays. Anytime you need me, I'll be there for you. She raises money to give every homeless person 2 to 3 months of Ensure protein drinks after they leave after surgery because homeless people don't get enough protein. Huh? The nurse who went out and got the charge nurse let her go out and get peanut butter and jelly for my wife at night because she thought she wanted that and the cafeteria was closed. The nurse who one night my wife couldn't sleep. And she said, you want me to chant the Lord's Prayer over you? My wife said, I'll take whatever I can get. She chanted it twice and she fell asleep. Huh? Who does that? I was shocked. The leadership of the nurses, the leadership of the doctors, the techs. The guy brought the towels up. Everything matters, let me tell you, when you're in this. It was the hardest time I've ever been in my life. I thought I'd been through a lot in my life. And I've been through quite a bit. I opened 100 hotels for Marriott, very stressful. I opened Disneyland Paris. We were losing $1 million a day after we opened. I handled 9/11 in Orlando. I handled 4 hurricanes in 2004. Nothing bothers me. I told you, I grew up in a dysfunctional home. I'm a tough guy. I'm tough. Nobody messes with me. What do you think happened to me going through this? Oh, yeah. I ended up with anxiety and depression. I got hooked on Ativan. Now, that's good stuff. My phone, I didn't care about my phone. I cared about that little pill every 6 hours. I never got very far away from it either. I got hooked on it, of course. Then I got hooked on sleeping pills. Couldn't sleep. Then I'd take another one. Pill's supposed to keep me asleep for an hour. I'd be awake in an hour, not 7 hours. Then I have a little wine with Ativan. Now that's really good stuff. Lucky I didn't kill myself. So I went to see a psychiatrist, the next good leader. He interviewed me for 1 hour. You know, he said, Lee, you're going to be fine. You're suffering situational depression, been under this kind of stress with your wife for that period of time. I'm going to put you on Cymbalta. Here's my home phone number, my cell number. You can call me 24/7. Who does that? Leaders do that. I had a problem the first night with the first drug he put me on, a big problem. Called him. He took care of it. Cymbalta. I now see every ad on TVs talking to me. Cymbalta. Flomax. I had that one fixed, by the way. I had the Roto-Rooter. You talk about scary. I was down in Brazil and I couldn't pee. Huh? It had already happened once before, but I thought Flomax take care of that. It didn't take care of it. I went to the emergency room. Because I was from Disney, they put me ahead of 50 people. And let me tell you, when you got to go, you got to go. You can't let it go. I mean, it's good. And I went in there, and the doctor had just come back from Disney. Like, it was perfect timing. I mean, he took care of me. It was unbelievable. So I took that Cymbalta for 7 weeks. I woke up one morning, I was fine. I was so scared, I took it for another year because I was afraid of going back there. Let me tell you, that depression was I've never been in a place like that. Worst place I've ever been. I cared about nothing. Didn't care if I saw my grandkids. I cared about nothing. And I just think back, if I hadn't run into those nurses, those doctors, the people who cared, those nurses that came to our house at night, at midnight, and 8 in the morning, and unbelievable. I don't know where our life would be right now if we hadn't run into the right people, the people who cared, people who went all the way, people who were totally focused on going all the way. When it was all over, I told my wife, I said, Priscilla, I used to love you, but I'm madly in love with you now. I was really, I was worried you were going to die, and I was wondering who's going to take care of me. She said, you don't have to worry about that. I was going to kill you. Because why was she going to kill me? Because she was a bad patient, and I was tough. I told her, you got to get up and walk 20 laps through the house with your stroke to get stronger. She'd say, I'm done. I said, what? She said, I did 20. She lied. She wanted to go back to bed. So I said, okay, fine. Put a system in. I put a toll booth in the hallway. I gave her 20 playing cards. I said, every time you go by, the toll's 1 card. When I get 20, you can go back to bed. And I won't even tell you what she said. She said bad words to me. She's sorry now, but she did. I said, okay, I don't care. I had to get her to drink 5 protein drinks a day. She needed 60 grams of protein to heal. And she didn't want it. She didn't like to eat. And everything made her say, yeah. I made her drink them. And we had a bad year. I mean, I was trying to figure out how to get rid of her, but I couldn't. She was and then I ended up getting sick. I ended up sicker than she was. So let me tell you, the nurses need to learn to take care of the person sitting in the chair, watching the patient. I mean, pay attention to the children. I mean, there's so many things going on, and it's incredible and you know what I learned the lesson? You know what I used to think about depressed people? I used to think, what's their problem? Why don't they get their act together? Man, did I get slapped upside the head? I can spot a depressed person a mile away now. And you got to think about that. And I can tell you, the big payoff I got when it was all over, I wrote that book, Customer Rules, and I asked Margot, she was 12. I said, Margot, you want to be in my book? I need some help. I'm writing the rules on customer service. I said, what's the most important rule for you? What do you think is the most important rule in customer service? She looked at me, you know what she said? Instantly, she said, Pappy, the first rule is be nice. Huh? I know a lot of adults don't know that one. Be nice. I turned to Tristan. He was 10. I said, Tristan, you want to be in the book? He said, yes. I said, you better give me a good quote. I said, what's service mean to you? You know what he said? This little 10-year-old boy, he looked up at me and said, Pappy, when you serve, you're always the giving one. He got a whole chapter. Who are the giving ones in our society? People sitting in this room, teachers, nurses, our military, first responders, parents, people who do it from here. The giving ones. Oh, yeah. And that's what you got to teach these nurses. Giving. The difference they make. Incredible. It's incredible. You can't get any worse than when you're laying in a hospital bed and having a bad time. I mean, that's when you want to look up and see a leader looking at you. And I got the final big payoff when it was all done. My son, he was 39 when it started. He helped me. He came and took care of his mother. He took her to the bathroom. She couldn't get out of bed. Half her hair was falling out from the anesthesia. You ought to have seen us in the shower. Tubes and stuff and no clothes and hair falling out. Man, that colostomy bag flying off all the time. I mean, it was like unbelievable. And my son took his mother to the bathroom, gave her a shower, helped her. I couldn't do that with my mother. I didn't have that kind of relationship. But I got the payoff, and that's the payoff you're going to get. He came to me after it was over, and I was fine, he said, Dad, I want to tell you something. You left a legacy in our family. We were watching how you took care of Mom. And we now have had that discussion in our family, and we all get it. When things happen, we got to stick together. We got to hang in there. We got to go all the way. Hard things are hard. Bad things are bad. They can get better, and we've learned the lesson. And I will tell you right now, everybody in this room, I know that from my own life now. You can go out and be teachers that leave a legacy. You can be educators that leave a legacy. You can create nurses that are going to leave a legacy with people, save lives. They may not remember the patients, but the patients will never forget them for this. I will never forget those nurses that I can see their faces right now. And I only see the ones who were great. That's what's really incredible. So you decide to leave a legacy, and it'll be one of the most satisfying things that happens in your life. And you can do it. And you're in a position to really influence and to build up this inspiration in these young women and men that are going to go out and really, literally save lives. I asked a nurse one day, I said, "What do you do?" She said, "I keep the doctor from killing you." There you go. I was going to leave room for questions, but I got by that. I'm just going to read you one letter, how appreciation, recognition, encouragement works. I did a lot of work in the Netherlands, and I went over and I was working for a theme park company. And after I worked with the managers, they wanted me to speak to 5,000 employees before they opened. So we went to the night before, Sunday night, went through the kitchen, went out and saw the stage and all this. I wanted to see it. When we walked in, there was a lady mopping the floor down at the end, an older woman. Her boss didn't say good evening to her. He didn't say hello. He didn't introduce me. Remember, everyone matters. I walked down to her and I said, "Hi, I'm Lee Cockerell." She said, "I know who you are. I've seen your picture around here. You're going to give a big speech tomorrow." I said, "That's right. Are you coming?" She said, "No, I wasn't invited." Because she just mops the floor. Don't make that mistake. I looked at her boss. I said, "Really? You don't mind if she comes, do you?" He said, "No, it's fine." So he got some training. She got invited. She came the next day and sat down there, and I didn't see her afterwards. 2 weeks later at Easter, I got this card from her. She speaks fluent French, English, Dutch. She writes better than anybody I know, her penmanship. And here's what she says. You can tell a lot from this. "Dear Mr. Lee, thank you so much for your inspiring words in the theater in March. It was so nice to see you that afternoon while I was working in the hall mopping the floor. I felt like Cinderella, remember? But when I went home that night, I felt like a princess. Your words really lifted me up and still do. My real work in the theater is as a hostess or working behind the bar, or as a waitress helping in the cloakroom, and even baking fries in the park if necessary. It's a lot, but I'm learning every day." I don't know why she's back there. Maybe her husband died. She had to go back to work. I don't know. "I hope I will see you again when you visit the park next year. That would be nice. Give my regards to your wife. She must be a strong woman." I said, "What?" I showed this to my wife. She said, "Don't worry, I know what she means. Take good care of her. She's done that for you for many years. I hope to see you and your family again next year. You're Cinderella from the Efteling Park." Huh? Don't underestimate the impact you got. Don't underestimate. All right. I'm going to go down that exhibit hall at the Galen booth if you want to come by and say hello. And I hope that was helpful to you, and we really appreciate everything you do. Thank you very much.
You know, am I on? Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me? No. He's waving back. Okay. Can you hear me? I don't know about you, but as members of the National League for Nursing, I want to leave a legacy. So I hope everybody knows what their next to do is. Go get that box lunch. And we will see you again at the session that starts, the plenary that starts at 4:30. And enjoy your concurrent sessions. Take care.